July 4th. Who started July 4th? Men that owned slaves, right? Men that said that they wanted to be free. You don't see the contradiction in that, brother? With that, you gotta go, right? What does July 4th represent? Freedom? When did this so-called July 4th start to represent this so-called freedom? Right? July 4th, 1776. 1776, that's 245 years ago. So 245 years of freedom, right? Freedom for who? July 4th, 1776, who was free? Who was free? When the very first 4th of July was celebrated, right? I know it sure as hell wasn't my people. Wasn't my Southern Kingdom so-called African American brothers and sisters that were still in slavery, or these natives that were in slavery. What did Thomas Jefferson say in the Declaration of Independence y'all are celebrating? He said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal, right? He said all men are created equal. While Thomas Jefferson owned 600 slaves in his lifetime, he had the audacity to say all men are created equal in the Declaration of Independence. Only 600 people in his lifetime. Come on, man. All men were created equal, except for the 600 spics working on my property. Except for the 600 niggas that are on my property, right? That line was as real as the freedom that this day represents, July 4th, 1776. The simplicity and ignorance it takes to observe this day, man. Slavery wasn't even abolished until 1865. That means enslaving human beings was still legal for 89 years after the first Declaration of Independence. What do you think about that, sis? Nothing to say, right? Including the enslavement of these natives, the real owners of this land, right? The people that are depicted on this picture behind me. Then after slavery was so-called abolished, segregation lasted another 89 years until 1954, right? Which we know prejudice, injustice, oppression, this is all running rampant still through our communities. But y'all want to celebrate freedom. We're still the last hired, first fired, right? We're still the poorest, most incarcerated, most shot, most likely to get killed. So whose freedom are you celebrating, right? The so-called white man's? July 4th, 1776. What was happening to our people? Right? But y'all only think about the white man's people. What was happening to the so-called African American man? The so-called Native American man? July 4th, 1776. What was happening to the so-called Native Mexican man? Right? In 1776, the real owners of this land were fighting against the oppressors and thieves and colonizers of this land. Against the real illegal aliens to this day on this land. Against the Caucasian, the European, Edomites, colonizers, right? 1776, the Cherokee took a stand in North Carolina against these invaders, right? And what happened? Trying to protect their own land, guess what happened? They sent militias to burn down the crops in over 50 Cherokee villages, right? Killing off thousands of real Americans. 1776, the Chickamauga Wars started, right? That also led to countless real Americans being killed, raped, robbed, murdered on this land, right? On their own land. July 4th, 1776, European diseases like smallpox, the measles, right? They had natives which had no immunity to these diseases, right? that spread these throughout Turtle Island. 80% of the Arikawa died from European diseases brought by them filthy Europeans, right? The Wampanoags also had huge mortality rates from smallpox that was brought by those same invaders, man. In 1776, this land we're standing on right now, here in South Texas, was literally a war zone, right? The Spaniards were invading, as you can see on some of the depictions behind me. The Comanche, the Karankawa, the Yaqui, the Seri nations, right? The Chichimeca, etc., who happen to be the ancestors of us so-called Mexicans and natives, right? And some of you so-called African Americans, because a lot of y'all actually have native roots as well, right? So again, whose freedom are you celebrating July 4th, right? Not our people's, not my people, not the so-called Hispanic, so-called Native American and African American man, woman, and child, who are descendants of the Hebrew Israelites, the Most High God's chosen people. Baruch 3:8 says that we are yet this day in our captivity. So if you believe the Bible, then you know that you're not free. You just look around and you know that you're not free. John 8:32 says only the truth will make you free. And what's the truth? The truth is, not one of our people should be observing this facade of freedom, right? On this fake 4th of July holiday. The truth is that only learning who you are, brother, and learning the wisdom of the Bible and applying it, that's the only thing that's going to make you free. The truth is, it's high time to awaken from that spiritual and mental sleep that our people are in, right? Because the end is near for all these heathen walking around here, right? But the beginning is near for all of the Most High's chosen, right?